everyone. My name is Anne. I'm the Digital Initiatives and Resources Librarian here at Park. And in this episode in our ChatGPT video series, we're going to be talking about current strengths and limitations of ChatGPT. Major caveat, this technology is changing very rapidly, so any limitation I say today, by tomorrow, they might have fixed. However, as of May 4th, 2023, here's the current strengths and limitations of ChatGPT. So the latest model of ChatGPT is ChatGPT 4. That one is currently only accessible via the paid $20 a month plan. The free plan is based off ChatGPT 3.5. ChatGPT 5 is expected to be released sometime next year, but they are continually iterating on the technology and making improvements. So what can ChatGPT do? Well, ChatGPT uses something called reinforcement learning, which means it learns from every interaction you have with it. It's a dialogue-based conversational chatbot, which means that you ask it a question, it generates a response, and then you can respond directly to its response. So for example, you can say things like, that's not helpful, or that's not the information I wanted to know. And it learns from that and incorporates that information into its training model and makes its responses more relevant and helpful, ideally in the future. However, one caveat to this is ChatGPT does not learn from previous conversational data. So it will learn from a conversation while you're in that conversation, but it will not learn if you have a conversation today and then log back in tomorrow and have a new conversation. It won't still have gleaned those insights from yesterday's conversation. Generally, ChatGPT is very good at generating text very quickly. So it can be a big time saver if you use it in the right way. It can assist with brainstorming. It can generate lists of essay topics. It can make book recommendations. It can create assignment rubrics. And it can do all of this in the blink of an eye, so much quicker than humans could do it. It's fairly good at editing. It can assist with grammar, spelling, and sentence structure. It currently supports more than 50 languages, so it can help assist with English language learners or students who are non-native English speakers. It can mimic the writing style of published authors, or it can even mimic your own writing style. If you provide it an example of something you've written, you can ask it to write in your style. It can generate melodies and chord progressions for writing music. It can write fiction stories or narratives. It can also produce or debug code. You can feed it some code and say, this isn't working, what's wrong with it? And it will help you identify some areas where there might be something wrong. So it's a pretty impressive technology. However, there are a lot of limitations. So currently, ChatGPT's knowledge base only extends to information published up to September 2021. When OpenAI was creating ChatGPT, it trained it based off a giant corpus of human-produced text from the beginning of time through September 2021, but it hasn't fed it new information after that, and it's not connected to the internet. So it doesn't have the most up-to-date information. It's not good at talking about current events, real-time news, breaking news, anything like that. And also, the textual data that it was trained on does not cover every topic comprehensively. It's based off a corpus of human-produced data, therefore is susceptible to all of the same foibles and fallacies as the humans who produced that text originally. It also has a limited context window, which means that it struggles to process and retain information from very long text passages or conversations. It can generate written text, and that written text sounds largely like it was written by a person, but it can sometimes be very generic or excessively verbose. It also does not possess implicit knowledge or common sense reasoning. So sometimes it will produce responses that sound coherent and are grammatically correct, but actually don't make sense or are factually incorrect. It's also bad at basic math and simple logic questions. It will also create hallucinated references, which means you can ask it to generate references for a topic, and sometimes it will just invent citations for articles, books, or even people that don't actually exist. So if you use it for that, you'll have to really check those carefully. ChatGPT also lacks emotional intelligence. It cannot detect subtle emotional cues or respond appropriately to emotional situations. It struggles to understand sarcasm or humor. And it's bad at multitasking. So it's better to give it a singular task or objective and allow it to work through it before giving it another task. If you give it multiple tasks, it will struggle to prioritize them and be less efficient. It also is susceptible to the same biases as humans, and possibly for that reason, OpenAI has embedded some safeguards. So there are about 20 types of questions that ChatGPT won't answer and topics that it won't discuss. So things that promote hate speech, things that involve illegal activities, etc. And there's a full list that OpenAI has published of the taboo topics.